Hello, welcome to 10 at 10. My name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education Research Center here at Murray State University, and welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Grow West, the Technology Council of West Kentucky, KY Innovation, and local partners, Sprocket Innovation in Paducah, and the Kentucky Innovation Station in Madisonville. Welcome back to 10 at 10, episode 192. We're getting close to that 200 mark. Today, we're going to do the news of the day. Really the news of the last week and a half or so, what's been going on, what's worth knowing about, what can we share today that's going to help you, your family, your organization stay just a little bit safer in cyberspace. So we're going to share a few stories today. Let's just dig into it. We will start with, what else? The election. It's everywhere, right? No, I'm not going to get into politics today, but CISA did publish a checklist ahead of the November election. So this specifically is for those involved in the election process, not necessarily for every business, but for those in the election process. But I share this because, we accused Russia of trying to hack one of the candidates already. Actually, maybe both of the candidates. As I think about it, it's already happened. As we get closer to November, it's going to happen more and more and more. But what that also means is that it is very possible that you see increased activity as well, even if you're not in that election space. There's just going to be more activity, more adversaries thinking about how do we mess with the U.S. right now, because there is a contentious election going on. So if you're not already being careful, make sure that you're paying attention as we come up to the election in November. Second thing I want to bring up, I think we may have talked about this a couple weeks ago, but I'm going to reinforce this. So Georgia Tech and the Georgia Tech Research Corporation, which is their related research entity, has had a civil suit filed against them for claiming under DoD contracts that they meet certain security standards. Now, there's a thing called the CMMC, which is the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. They said that they claimed, or they said in their contracts, they agreed that they were compliant with some of these rules and regulations, and they were not. A whistleblower came forward, talked about it. Anyway, the point of all of these things is that they are being accused of knowingly agreeing to contracts that have security requirements in them that they did not meet. So they knowingly, it's a false claim. Now, why does that matter? There's a lot of those regulations that we agree to follow. It is, CMMC is being one of them, but maybe it's FERPA, maybe it's HIPAA, maybe it's, the PCI compliance, maybe it's something else. But the point is there's a lot of those that organizations are following. And if you are knowingly agreeing to follow a policy that you don't follow, that could be problematic for you. So this is just not the first, maybe the biggest type of suit like this, but CMMC is in the process of redoing their requirements, for example, and their first level is you self-attest that you're following the requirements. And what DoD did in some spot checking auditing is that a lot of organizations said they follow it and they don't. So this is going to become a thing. And so you had better, if you say you're compliant, you had better be compliant. That's an important piece. This story I find interesting. 68% of online shoppers typically accept cookies, with 18 to 34 most likely being most likely to accept them. So the young people are the most likely to accept the cookies. I try not to accept cookies unless I have to. But what this research goes on and on about is that U.S. shoppers are becoming more informed and intentional about their online privacy choices. So they're at least thinking about it. When they accept cookies, they think about what it is that they're accepting. And that to me is an important piece. Primary reasons for accepting cookies is they want the full online features. They want the organization to remember their login information, and they want the personalized content. So those were the three main reasons. While I try not to accept cookies unless I need to, I am okay that a person accepts cookies. Now, what is a cookie? Maybe you're asking, maybe that's an important piece. When you go to a website, at the bottom, it'll ask you now, a lot of this is because of the privacy laws in Europe, that a website, if a website is going to serve Europe and the US from the same site, it's going to have to abide by the European requirements as well. Because there's a file that gets saved on your computer that remembers who you are for the next time that you come to the website. It'll look for that cookie, and then it'll be able to customize your experience. I'm okay if you accept that. What I want you to do is to be informed. So I do like the fact that more people are being informed, that they understand. 53% of online shoppers say they are familiar with what they are agreeing to when they accept cookies. So I actually think that's a positive development, and one that perhaps we can do more, but that's much more than what it would have been a year ago or a couple years ago. Here's one that I could spend a lot of time on, and we don't have a lot of time, but this is actually an article about a podcast. There's a podcast that's talking about rural communities facing significant but often unrealized cyber threats. Well, what I have done, a lot of work with rural communities, and what I can tell you about rural communities is that their security posture is much less than what a big city is. First of all, and I'm going to remember this for forever. I was at a conference not too long ago, and somebody made one of the speakers made the comment that adversaries, hackers don't care about your data. They care about your money. Rural communities have money. No, they don't have as much money as a big city, but they still have money. If they got hit with ransomware, there's still money to be made. There's still damage that could be done. Lower tier, sure, but there's still damage that could be done. So they still face significant threat, but often it's unrealized because, frankly, one of the big pieces is their internet connection. It's not centralized. It's harder to move around the network than in a bigger city because, frankly, it's harder for local governments to move around the network. The significant threat is there because it's also harder to secure that type of network. That's going to change. It's going to change for a couple of reasons in my mind, and this is an important piece to keep in mind. One is that we have $45 billion that's being spent on broadband expansion across our country. So most of that money is being spent in rural areas because that's where broadband coverage is lacking, and that's part of the reason the local government's networks are struggling, or rural communities are struggling. And two, there's going to become more and more standards that no matter the size of your organization, you're going to have to follow. So those two things are going to cause this to become a bigger issue. But interesting podcast. You should take a listen to it. It's not too long, but you can scroll down on this and kind of see some other topics that they're talking about. There's actually a lot of funding right now that's available to help really address these issues. So it's a nice podcast to definitely take a listen to if you have the time. And then finally, and I won't spend a lot of time on this because I'm running out of time. Should state governments ban ransomware payments? North Carolina, Florida have both banned ransomware payments. In North Carolina, all public entities, local governments it's a ban. Local governments can't pay. Public entity can't pay ransomware payment. Florida is a little less stringent than that. but that certainly takes a reason to hit somebody with ransomware out of the equation. They don't want your data, they want your money. If they can't get your money, do they move on to the next victim? So anyway, something to take a look at and think about. This is a big debate we've had for years, and I think we'll continue to have, but it's certainly very interesting. Anyway, that's what I have for today. There's one story I didn't get to that I wanted to think about. There's a new research from the Ponemon Institute. IBM does a cost of a data breach each year. So we'll try to cover that next year, next week in a full episode. We'll talk about that research, what it says, what the latest numbers show. Interesting stuff. Anyway, if you have questions, let me know. If you want to learn more about any of these stories or any other topics, please reach out. Don't hesitate to let me know. Thank you for joining in, and I'll see you next week back here on 10 and 10. Thank you. Bye.